Stop trying to build the next Amazon. I'm serious. While you're out here trying to invent some revolutionary product, there's a business model sitting right in front of you with a success rate so high it'll make your head spin. And nobody talks about it. Look, I've spent years studying what actually makes businesses succeed, not the flashy unicorn startups you read about on TechCrunch. I'm talking about real businesses that actually make money and don't die within the first 2 years. And what I found changed everything I thought I knew about starting a company. There's one business model that stands above all others. It's not sexy, it's not going to get you on the cover of Forbes next month, but it has a success rate that puts every other business model to shame. Here's the thing that nobody wants to tell you. About 90% of startups fail. You've probably heard that stat thrown around. But here's what's crazy. That number changes dramatically depending on what type of business you start. If you start a restaurant, your chances of failure jump even higher. We're talking 60% failure rate within the first year alone. Retail stores, similar story. Those cool tech startups everyone glorifies, 9 out of 10 are dead within a few years. And the problem isn't that people aren't working hard enough. It's not that they're not smart enough. The problem is they're playing a game that's rigged against them from the start. They're choosing business models that have horrible odds of success and then wondering why they end up like everyone else who tried the same thing. Most people think success in business comes down to having a great idea, working hard, and maybe getting lucky. But that's not how it works. Your business model matters more than almost anything else. It's like the difference between playing poker and playing the lottery. Sure, both involve money and risk, but one gives you way better odds than the other. So what is this magical business model with the insane success rate? It's the service-based business model. Specifically, selling your skills and expertise to solve problems for other people or businesses. I know what you're thinking. That sounds boring. Where's the scale? Where's the passive income? Where's the chance to build the next unicorn? Hold on. Let me show you why this is actually the smartest play you can make. First, let's talk numbers. Service-based businesses have a success rate of around 85 to 90%. Read that again. While product-based businesses are failing left and right, service businesses are thriving. Why? Because the fundamentals are completely different. When you start a product-based business, you need to invest massive amounts of money up front. You need inventory, you need manufacturing, you need storage, you need to figure out shipping and logistics. You need to spend money on marketing before you've made a single sale. And here's the killer. You have no idea if anyone actually wants to buy what you're selling until after you've already spent all that money. Service businesses flip this entire model on its head. Your startup costs are basically zero. You don't need inventory because you're selling your time and expertise. You don't need a warehouse because the product is you. You don't need to manufacture anything. And here's the best part. You can get paid before you even deliver the service. Think about it. If you're a graphic designer, you can start getting clients today. Like literally today. You don't need to wait for products to be manufactured. You don't need to raise money from investors. You just need to find someone who needs a logo designed, agree on a price, and start working. But it gets better. Service businesses have something that product businesses dream about: predictable cash flow. When you sell a product, you make one sale. That customer buys once and they're done. Maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. But with services, especially if you structure them right, you can create recurring revenue. Let's say you're a social media manager. You don't get hired for one post. You get hired on a monthly retainer. That's recurring revenue. Every month, like clockwork, money comes in. You're not starting from zero every single month trying to find new customers. You have a base. You have stability. You have predictability. And this is where it gets really interesting. Service businesses scale differently than product businesses, but that doesn't mean they don't scale. You just scale in a smarter way. Stage 1 is trading time for money. You do the work yourself. You're the business. This is where everyone starts, and honestly, this is where a lot of people stay because it's comfortable and profitable. A good consultant can easily make 6 figures working for themselves. A great one can make multiple 6 figures, all without employees, without investors, without any of the complexity that comes with scaling a product business. Stage 2 is when you start building systems. You realize you're doing the same things over and over, so you create processes, you document everything, you build templates, you create frameworks. This is where you go from being a freelancer to being a real business owner. The work becomes less about you specifically and more about the system you've built. Stage 3 is when you bring in other people.
Maybe you hire contractors first, then maybe some employees. Now you're not just selling your time anymore, you're selling your team's time. You're selling your system. If you used to make $10,000 a month working 40 hours a week, now you can make $50,000 a month because you have 5 people working those 40 hours. The math is simple, but powerful. Stage 4, and this is where it gets really crazy, is when you productize your service. You take everything you've learned, all those systems and processes, and you turn them into something that can be delivered at scale. Maybe it's a course, maybe it's a software tool, maybe it's a certification program where you train other people to deliver your service. Now you're combining the best parts of service businesses with the best parts of product businesses. But here's what makes service businesses so successful beyond just the numbers. It's about risk management. Every single business decision you make comes with risk, but service businesses let you test and validate everything before you scale it. Want to try a new offering? Great. Pitch it to one client and see if they'll pay for it. If they will, congrats. You just validated a new revenue stream. If they won't, you just save yourself months or years of building something nobody wants. Try doing that with a product business. You can't test a product without building it first, and building it costs money you might never get back. This is the same reason why service businesses are so good for learning what people actually want. You're in direct contact with customers every single day. You hear their problems firsthand. You see what they struggle with. You understand their pain points in a way that someone sitting in an office designing products never will. And this is where a lot of the biggest product companies actually came from. They started as service businesses. The founders were consultants or agencies, and they kept hearing the same problems over and over from clients. So they built a product to solve that problem. They didn't guess what people needed. They knew because they'd been solving that problem manually for dozens or hundreds of clients. Take MailChimp, for example. Started as a web design agency. They kept building email marketing tools for clients, so they decided to turn it into a product. Now it's worth billions. Basecamp started as a web design firm called 36 Signals. They built project management tools for their own use because nothing else worked well enough. Then they realized other people had the same problem. GitHub, the founders were consultants who needed better tools for managing code. Shopify, the founder wanted to sell snowboards online, couldn't find good software, so he built it as a service for himself, then turned it into a product when other people wanted it.
See the pattern? Service business first, product business second, not the other way around. Because the service business teaches you what people actually need. It generates cash flow so you can build the product without needing investors. And it gives you your first customers who are basically begging you to build a product version of what you're already doing for them. Now let's talk about another massive advantage of service businesses: speed to profitability. Product businesses can take years before they make a profit. Years. You're burning through cash trying to build the product, test it, market it, and scale it. Most startups don't even try to be profitable in the first few years. They're focused on growth at all costs, which means they need investor money just to survive. Service businesses can be profitable from day one, literally the first day. You get a client, they pay you, you deliver the service, you keep the profit. There's no waiting period, no burning through savings or investor cash. You know within weeks if your business is going to work, not years. And this changes everything about how you can run your business. You're not beholden to investors. You don't have to give up equity. You don't have to grow at some crazy pace that doesn't make sense just to justify a valuation. You can grow at your own pace. You can build the business you actually want to build, not the business some investor thinks you should build. Plus, service businesses give you options. Once you're profitable and generating consistent cash flow, you can use that money to fund other things. Want to build that product? Great. Use your service business profits to fund it. Want to invest in real estate? Do it with service business cash. Want to start another business? Your service business can be the bank. Let's talk about another thing nobody mentions: exit opportunities. Everyone thinks you need to build a tech startup to have a big exit. That's not true. Service businesses sell all the time, and they sell for good multiples. A profitable service business doing $1 million a year in revenue can easily sell for 2 to 4 times revenue. That's a $2 to $4 million exit. And you built it without investors, so you keep all of that money. Not bad for something people think is just a service business. But here's the real secret about service businesses that makes them the most successful business model. They're flexible.
Incredibly flexible. The market changes, you adapt. A new technology comes out, you learn it and add it to your offerings. Client needs shift, you shift with them. There's no massive infrastructure holding you back, no inventory you can't sell, no manufacturing contracts you can't get out of. You pivot quickly because you're not weighed down by all the things that sink product businesses. During economic downturns, service businesses actually have an advantage. Companies cut spending on products and inventory, but they increase spending on services that can help them save money or make money. Consultants who can cut costs? In demand. Agencies that can drive sales? In demand. Services that can automate or improve processes? In demand. You become more valuable when times are tough, not less valuable. And here's something else most people miss. Service businesses build assets even if you don't realize it. Every client you work with, every problem you solve, every process you document, that's an asset. Your client list is an asset. Your reputation is an asset. Your expertise is an asset. Your network is an asset. These things have real value and they compound over time. The longer you run a service business, the easier it gets. Your reputation grows, people start referring you without you asking, clients come to you instead of you chasing them. You can charge more because you have proof and testimonials and case studies. You become known as the expert in your specific area. That's a moat that's very hard for competitors to cross. So here's the moment of truth. If service businesses are so successful, why isn't everyone doing this? Why are people still trying to launch products, open restaurants, or build tech startups with terrible odds of success? The answer is simple but painful: ego and perception. We've been sold a lie about what success looks like. We think success means building the next Facebook. We think it means having a product on store shelves, or being on Shark Tank, or raising millions from venture capitalists. But that's not success. That's just noise. Real success is building a business that makes money, gives you freedom, and doesn't destroy your life in the process. Real success is having a business that's still around in 5 years, that's actually thriving, not just surviving, that's profitable without needing to constantly raise money. And service businesses give you the best shot at that kind of success. The data doesn't lie. When 85 to 90% of service businesses succeed compared to only 10% of startups, you're not making a choice between two equal options. You're making a choice between starting the game with extra lives or starting in hard mode with no continues. Look, I'm not saying product businesses are bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't follow your dreams of building the next big thing. What I am saying is that if you want the best odds of success, if you want to actually make money and build something sustainable, the service business model is your best bet, period. It has the lowest barriers to entry, the lowest risk, the fastest path to profitability, the most flexibility, the best learning opportunities, and most importantly, the highest success rate of any business model out there. That's not opinion, that's fact, backed by decades of data. And here's the beautiful thing about service businesses. You don't have to choose between service and product forever. Start with service. Build your skills, build your reputation, build your cash flow, build your understanding of the market. Then, if you want to build a product, you'll have everything you need to do it successfully. You'll have the money, the knowledge, the customers, the credibility, everything. The smartest entrepreneurs understand this. They don't jump straight to the hardest business model with the worst odds. They start with service, master it, and then expand from there if they want to. Because at the end of the day, business isn't about being flashy or impressive. It's about winning. And service businesses win more than anything else out there. So if you're sitting there thinking about starting a business, or if you're struggling with a business that's not working, maybe it's time to reconsider your approach. Maybe it's time to stop fighting uphill and start using the business model that's designed for success from the start. The one with an 85 to 90% success rate. The one that doesn't require millions in funding or years before profitability. The one that gives you control and flexibility and options. That's the power of the service business model. That's why it's the most successful business model in the world. Not because it's exciting or trendy or impressive, but because it works. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Check out the next video where I break down exactly how to start your service business this week.